Tuscaloosa to frenzy.
Firing. Touchdown, Alabama.
SEC champions, Alabama, Crimson Tide.
We talked about Alabama.
Step back three. Money. And the Alabama Crimson Tide will roll into the Final Four.
Roll Tide!
Roll Tide and welcome to Tide TV This Week. I'm Roger Hoover, joined by Mary Reagan Bolig. And Mary Reagan, after reporting on the Alabama soccer team the last couple of weeks, it's great to have you on the desk and hosting Tide TV This Week. Roll Tide.
Thanks, Roger. Roll Tide. I'm so excited to finally be sitting next to you here in Studio C. And hey, I love any excuse to talk about Alabama sports.
And what a start to the season it was for the Crimson Tide football team at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
And Roger, a fantastic win to the kickoff of Kalen DeBoer's era with a 63-0 win over a team that won a bowl game last season, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers.
Alabama put up 63 points, but the defense just as explosive, shutting out Western Kentucky. Coming up with huge plays on defense. It was Keon Sabb intercepting TJ Finley, and that led to Jalen Milroe's first score of the game on a 12-yard run. After Keon Sabb's second interception off TJ Finley, it was once again Milroe, this time finding Kendrick Law. He did the rest. 22 yards later, it was 14-0 Bama. Crimson Tide closed out the first quarter with the first touchdown of Ryan Williams' career. Milroe connected with him for an 84-yard touchdown to make it 21-0 after one.
Jamari Miller kept the score going in the second quarter on this 39-yard touchdown run. Then Ryan Williams scored his second touchdown of the game. On this one, he split two defenders and took it to the house, 55 yards, and it was a 42-0 Crimson Tide. Alabama tacked on three more scores in the second half as the Tide rolled a big in Kalen DeBoer's debut with a 63-0 shutout win.
Good to get a W to start the year. I told the guys downstairs, every win is something that they've worked hard for, and make sure we enjoy it. Go back to work. We got a lot of things that we now have on film that we know we can correct and understand the things that we're really good at and the things we need to continue to work on. So proud of the way they came out. Started fast, both sides of the ball. Feeding off each other. Thought the energy was great. Just sustained it all game long, and got a lot of guys a chance to play.
Alabama totaled 600 yards of offense while holding Western Kentucky to just 145 total yards. Jalen Milroe had 5 touchdowns, 3 through the air and 2 on the ground as he completed 7 of 9 passes for 200 yards while also adding 79 on the ground.
On the ground, Justice Haynes led the Crimson Tide with 102 yards and just 4 carries. The bulk of that came on the longest play of the game, an 85-yard rushing score. Ryan Williams led the Tide with 139 receiving yards and only 2 catches, with both of those being touchdowns. On the defensive side, Keon Sabb made a splash in his Bama debut, picking off 2 TJ Finley passes. And with those 2 picks in his Crimson Tide debut, Sabb was named the SEC Defensive Player of the Week.
Also in his Crimson Tide debut, Ryan Williams had 2 catches and they both were touchdowns as a 17-year-old phenom was named the SEC Co-Freshman of the Week.
Huge performance from those 2, and what a debut for the Crimson Tide to start the Kalen DeBoer era.
An impressive start to the season against a team that was made 5 straight bowl game appearances and an impressive performance from the Alabama defense.
And our Christopher England caught up with one of those stars from that shutout win on defense. He joins us now from the Tide's Hank Crisp indoor practice facility.
I'm Christopher England with Tide TV. I'm joined by Jihad Campbell, Alabama linebacker. Fresh off the practice field, Jihad, it's game week. What's the tempo out there with practice this week?
It's definitely, just fast pace. South Florida has a great tempo offense. We're a tempo defense, so, that's the goal for this week, is to stop them with that tempo.
You had a big win, 63-0 over Western Kentucky in the season opener. Just kind of talk about that game in Bryant-Denny. How good was it to get back out there in the stadium in front of the fans and just kind of quit hitting your teammate but get to hit someone else?
It felt pretty good. I was waiting. I was trying to wait patiently, to see another jersey, but it definitely felt good, just flying around with all the guys and making plays and creating takeaways. And I was really excited to watch our offense too, how J-Mill, he had the ball flying around and getting it to them guys. And those running backs, they were doing a great job, and the offensive linemen were doing a great job up front too. So
the offense was explosive, had some big plays, but the defense, pretty great too, shut out Western Kentucky. Just kind of talk about that. You guys were flying all over the field, had a couple of turnovers. Just kind of talk about that defensive performance.
I think, our whole goal and objective is to keep striving for greatness. You know, we never want to be complacent. You know, even though Keon Sapp, he got 2 picks. You know, we created more takeaways. Quandarius Robinson, you know, he had a sack, but I think our main objective is, you know, to just keep creating opportunities for those takeaways, and you know, and that's how we just gonna go about it on the defense.
Let's talk about your performance. You tied for the team lead with 9 tackles, had a tackle for a loss. Just kind of talk about your game.
You know, I think I played well. I think my performance definitely came from, you know, just my teammates and, you know, everybody doing their job so I could do my job. And, you know, when you do your job, the play come to you. So.
How great was it to give Kalen DeBoer his first win as Alabama head coach? I saw after the game, y'all presented him with a game ball. Just kind of talk about that and that excitement in the locker room.
Well, you know, it was very exciting. You know, when he got here, we trusted him as a head coach, you know, for the University of Alabama football team. And, I mean, ever since, you know, we just kept trusting him. And, you know, he gained that confidence, you know, when he stepped out on Bryant-Denny Stadium. And, I mean, we made it a W, and we got excited afterwards. And we gave him the game ball.
Lastly, Jihad, you played for South Florida last year. What do you take away from that game? They're a different team. You've got a different team now, but what do you take away from that game going into this matchup on Saturday night?
Well, I think, you know, like the biggest goal is it's all about us. You know, it's all about what we do. It's all about how we step on the field. It's all about our first approach, you know, versus USF. So, I mean, we'll see that, and the fans will see that on Saturday.
Thank you, Jihad. I appreciate it. Good luck, and roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Reporting from the Hank Crisp Indoor Practice Facility, I'm Christopher England with TideTV.
TideTV This Week is presented by the University of Alabama, where legends are made. Ford, visit your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide.
Championship teams have something special. They have that it factor. It will be tough. We will be explosive. The game was meant to be played one way still, and that's to be physical. A brotherhood that is so tight that anything that comes our way will not break us. Play SEC championships, win national championships. That's the expectation. In the history of the program, it's second to none.
There are 100,000 people on hand.
This place is rocking right now at Ryan-Day.
And the Crimson Tide of Alabama.
The standard is Alabama.
Back to Tide TV This Week. The Alabama Crimson Tide football team opened the season this past Saturday with a 63-0 shutout win over Western Kentucky.
Roger, it was the Tide's 23rd consecutive win in home openers, and it was also the first for Kalen DeBoer as the head coach of the Crimson Tide. Now let's take an all-access look at the season-opening win for the Tide and Bryant-Denny this past Saturday night.
Yes, the wait is finally over. A new regime, the same championship expectations.
Choose your response. Choose your response. Adversity will come at some point. Predetermined right now, it's going to be a positive response. It's going to be 1-0. It's time to cut it loose, guys. All right? Okay? It's time to cut it loose. All right?
We're underway in 2024. 5th-ranked Alabama, its lowest preseason ranking since 2009. Taking on Western Kentucky. Bama won the toss, elected to defer, so Western Kentucky will be on offense first. Now they're going to hand it off to Elijah Young, and he's trampled in the backfield for a loss. Pressure on Finley, and slammed down. Q Robinson gets the sack. Finley from the pocket, launches, and it's picked off at the 35-yard line. Returned back inside the 20 by Keon Sapp.
For Alabama, also 3 wideouts. Quarterback Heat, Bill Rhodes. Touchdown, Alabama. He goes left side. He walks in, and the Crimson Tide gets its first points of the 2024 season.
Finley has time, fires over the middle. Another interception. It's Saab again, his second pick already. Keon Saab and his Alabama debut, shining under the lights in T-Town. Third down and 13. Milroe taking a shot downfield. My goodness, wide open. Ryan Williams, the true freshman, taking it to the house. 84-yard touchdown.
And off once again goes to Miller, and Miller shakes free again. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Alabama. 39 yards. Jam Miller finds the end zone. Haynes in a foot race. Haynes beyond midfield. 10-5. Touchdown. Justice served.
Milroe to the air this time. Surveying, throwing it, and completing it to Ryan Williams. And Williams breaks a tackle. Williams, his second touchdown.
Hey, play our game. Do not be normal humans and relax right now because of the scoreboard. Nothing. We get better every single play. All right? Okay, here we go. Come on. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Win.
Milroe will keep it inside the 10, turns on the Jets, diving for the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. That's his second on the ground, and he's got 3 through the air.
Keeps the legs churning, though. Did he get in? He's very close. And yes, he does get in for his first Alabama touchdown.
First game. Way to go out here, dominate, execute. 63-0. First goose egg, baby.
Hey, great win. But most importantly, the game ball goes to Coach the board.
Tide TV This Week is presented by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide, the University of Alabama, where legends are made.
Tide of Alabama.
The standard is Alabama. The standard is Alabama.
Welcome back to Tide TV This Week. We just saw an all-access highlight for the Tide season opening win over Western Kentucky. And now we turn our attention to this weekend's matchup in Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Alabama hosting South Florida in what was a rematch of last year's meeting in Tampa. For a preview of the Tide and the Bulls, our Christopher England joins us now.
Alabama and South Florida will meet for just the third time in series history when the Tide and Bulls square off against one another in Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday night. Alabama is 2-0 all-time against South Florida. The last matchup was last season in Tampa. In that game, the score was tied at 3 at the half, but Ty Simpson led the Tide to 17 second-half points as Alabama pulled away for the hard-fought 17-3 win. The other matchup was 20 years earlier at Legion Field in Birmingham as the Crimson Tide had no trouble running away from the Bulls with 23 second-half points for the 40-17 win. While this will be Alabama's third matchup against South Florida, it will be the first for head coach Kalen DeBoer and the second meeting against the Tide for USF head coach Alex Golesh. He is 1-0 against Bama after last year's matchup. Golesh is in his second season as head coach of the Bulls. Before his time in Tampa, he was the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Vols for 2 seasons from 2021 through 2022. Golesh guided South Florida to a 7-6 record last season, finishing with a dominant 45-0 win over Syracuse in the Boca Raton Bowl. This season, South Florida opened with a 48-3 win over Bethune-Cookman. The Bulls are led on offense by junior quarterback Byron Brown. The dual-threat quarterback ran for over 800 yards with 11 rushing touchdowns and threw for almost 3,300 yards with 26 passing touchdowns last season. Brown showed his impressive rushing ability last week with his 42-yard touchdown run for the first score of the game. Brown's favorite target has been 6-year wideout Sean Atkins. He rewrote the South Florida record books last season with 92 receptions, 7 touchdown catches, and became the first South Florida receiver in program history with over 1,000 yards with 1,054. The South Florida defense forced 2 turnovers and allowed just 170 yards of total offense, including just 48 rushing yards in last week's win over Bethune-Cookman. The 2 turnovers came via interceptions, one from linebacker Jalen Schuler and the other from defensive back DeMarco Augustin. And you don't want to miss this historic moment, as it will also be a special night inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, as the University of Alabama will honor Coach Saban and his accomplishments with the dedication of Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium with pregame and halftime ceremonies. Kickoff for the matchup between Alabama and South Florida is set for 6 o'clock on Saturday night inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. The game will be televised live on ESPN. Stay with us. We have more Tide TV This Week coming up next.
In every moment, greatness awaits for the bold, the visionary, and those ready to take their shot. Here, we don't chase success, we define it. The University of Alabama, where legends are made.
Welcome back. I'm Mary Reagan Bullock. He's Roger Hoover, and this is Tide TV This Week. Roger, Alabama football wasn't the only sport to kick off their season this past weekend.
While football kicked off on Saturday, the Alabama volleyball team began their season this past Friday inside Foster Auditorium.
For a recap of the season opener for Alabama volleyball, our Paige Riley joins us now.
The Alabama volleyball team had a great start to the 2024 season as Rashinda Reed's squad swept the Crimson Tide Invitational with wins over Grambling State, the Citadel, and UT Martin. In the first match of a doubleheader on Friday, Alabama earned a convincing 25-12 win in set 1 over Grambling State. The Tigers ended up winning the next 2 sets, but the Crimson Tide flipped the script in set 4 with another dominating 25-12 win to force a deciding set 5. In that 5th set, incredible performances from a trio of transfers was just the spark Alabama needed to secure the win. Sophie Agee had a career-best 22 kills, while Natalie Rapetti also set a career record with 16 digs, while Kayla Keyshock added a match-best 29 assists. In the night game of the doubleheader, Alabama and the Citadel split the first 2 sets, with Alabama taking a lead with a hard-fought 27-25 win in set 3. The Tide earned the match win with a 25-23 victory in set 4. Sophie Agee had a team-high 20 kills, while veterans Callie Kiefer finished with 26 assists, and Francesca Bertucci had an impressive defensive performance with 17 digs. And going for the sweep on Saturday, Alabama hit a weekend-best 384 as a team against UT Martin as the Tide won all 3 sets convincingly. Transfer Paris Thompson had a season-high 14 kills, with Sophie Agee finishing the weekend with double-digit kills in all 3 matches. With the sweep of the Crimson Tide Invitational, Alabama is a perfect 3-0 as they hit the road this weekend, making the short trip to Montgomery for the ASU Collegiate Cup. The Tide will take on Prairie View A&M, Alabama State, and Arizona.
Thank you, Paige. It was a busy weekend in Tuscaloosa this past weekend. Along with football and volleyball, the Alabama soccer team was in action as well.
Riding a 4-game win streak, Alabama hosted Southern Miss on Sunday night. Gianna Paul put Alabama on the scoreboard in the 15th minute, scoring a goal in her 3rd consecutive game. Goal number 2 came off of a corner kick in the 26th minute as Brooke Steer jumped above the crowd to head the ball into the back of the net.
Just 4 minutes later, Nadia Sawan converted a penalty kick to make it 3-0 Alabama. Then Mason Smith netted the final goal of the match in the 62nd minute as the Tide shut out the Golden Eagles 4-0 for their 5th straight win.
And for her performance in wins over Florida Atlantic and Southern Miss, Gianna Paul was named the SEC Co-Offensive Player of the Week. Paul scored 3 goals in the Tide's 2 wins.
The Alabama women's golf team also began their season this week. McPotter's squad finished 7th overall with Molly Brown Davidson leading the Crimson Tide in her first collegiate tournament. Alabama had 2 finish in the top 10, with Davidson finishing 8th at 5 over par, while Madison Frick finished 9th.
The women's golf team will be back in action on Monday, September 16th in Hoover for the UAB Invitational.
The Alabama men's golf team begins their season this Monday as they travel to Grand Haven, Michigan for the Fields of Honor Collegiate hosted by Michigan State. It will be televised live on the Golf Channel.
Stay with us. We'll have our plays and players of the week coming up next.
The standard is Alabama.
Meyer with the service. Headed in! Crimson Tide with a 2-goal lead. So on with their first Crimson Tide goal.
Alabama trying to win their season opener. Here comes Alabama. Down the line, Thompson. Key shot for AT for the win.
Rowe with time. He's got a man wide open. Catch is made. Touchdown, Alabama. The deuce got loose. And off once again goes to Miller. And Miller shakes free again. 20, 15, 10-5. Dives. Touchdown, Alabama. Play action. They'll look. They'll fire. And that's going to be picked off. Intercepted. Keon Sam. Steps, looks, fires. Picked off again. Sam again. Down the sideline. Still on his feet. Still going. Tight ropes. Finally tripped down. As Haynes again. Haynes in a foot race. Haynes beyond midfield. Haynes 10-5. Touchdown. Time. Fires across the middle. Catch is made. Williams. 2 catches. 2 touchdowns.
And some great plays for our first ATI Plays of the Week.
And you know who makes big plays, Roger? Big time players. Let's take a look at some of ours in this week's Players of the Week, brought to you by Legacy of Hope.
Keon Sabb made a huge splash in his Crimson Tide debut, picking off not 1, but 2 TJ Finley passes as he earned SEC Defensive Player of the Week honors.
Jalen Milroe was responsible for 5 touchdowns as he threw for 3 and added 2 more on the ground. Milroe completed 7 of 9 passes for 200 yards and added 79 rushing yards.
And catching 2 of those touchdowns from Milroe was freshman Ryan Williams. Hollywood caught 2 passes, but he made them count. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns, and 139 receiving yards. Oh, he's just 17 years old. That was his Crimson Tide debut, and he was named the SEC Co-Freshman of the Week. So congratulations to our Players of the Week, brought to you by Legacy of Hope.
It was a great weekend here in Tuscaloosa, Roger, and it's going to be another great one as football hosts South Florida, and we honor Coach Saban with the dedication of Saban Field and Bryant-Denny Stadium.
It's going to be a great weekend here in T-Town. We hope to see you here and right back here next week for another episode of Tide TV This Week.
See you next week. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
This has been a presentation from Learfield,